Okay, so we're not actually going to be learning how to do a wheelie today. This tutorial is all about lifting your front wheel where you need to lift it and then putting it down where you want to put it down. It's one technique that can help you get over logs, rocks, holes. If you can lift your front wheel and float it over an obstacle rather than bashing your front wheel into it, you're so much better off. What we're going to do is a clutch pop wheelie, so it's not a power wheelie. A power wheelie is rolling the throttle on and the power of the bike lifting the front wheel. It's a wheelie, but you're going to be picking up lots of speed, which if you imagined a giant log in front of you, you're not going to want to hit the giant log at the speed that you are now going. So it's all about clutch pop wheelie, lifting the front wheel and not picking up speed. So keeping it as slow as you can possibly keep it. And I want you to kind of channel, the hard enduro riders. They can go rah and lift the front wheel without picking up speed. That's the goal. And to get there, it's understanding the technique and then let's practice. So the way I like to teach wheelies or lifting the front wheel and putting it down where you want it is in two parts and also two levels. So this particular video is level 1 wheelies. For level 2 wheelies, see the other video. And then the two things that you do, or the two parts, is what you do with your body and what you do with your controls. So what you do with your body is very, very simple for level 1. Level 1 wheelies is all about building the confidence to have a go. So it's not perfect technique. To actually do the wheelie over the log, the rock, the hole, you want to be doing it in the standing position 9 times out of 10. But for level 1, we want to remove you having to stand up and just get you to sit down. This way your bum holds you to the seat. It does a lot of the work for you without you having to try. And it allows you to sit right at the back of the bike and push weight into your rear wheel while it's also lightening the front wheel. So think of your bike as a bit of a seesaw. You sit on this end to make that end light, and you also get the added bonus of your body weight now creating traction into the rear wheel. Because what happens most of the time when people are first learning to do wheelies is they try to do it, but they don't have enough traction, they don't get traction through the rear wheel, and then you just throw roost out the back. So by sitting back, you will eliminate that more often than not. And what I say is sit as far back as you comfortably can. Comfortably is important. If you're back here and it's not comfortable, you won't be able to reach your rear brake easily and you'll be really hanging off your throttle with your upper body. You need to reach your rear brake to put the front wheel down, and you don't want to be hanging off your throttle because you don't want to get whiskey throttle when your front wheel is already coming off the ground. So you sit as far back as you comfortably can, and that's it. We can all do this. We can all sit back here easily. So part 1, done. Part 2 is what you do with your controls. So we take off aggressively, essentially, which again, everyone who's out there riding a bike with a clutch, you can take off aggressively. And chances are when you were first learning to ride, you accidentally did a wheelie or two as you were taking off because you didn't have good clutch and throttle control. Now you have good clutch and throttle control, you need to let your clutch out quicker as you roll your throttle on more. There's no perfect ratio here because we've always got different soil types and different amounts of traction. So you have to practice this and work out how much clutch or how fast the clutch comes out and how much throttle you need. But we can all sit back here and we can all take off aggressively. So if you were stationary and you did that right now, you would likely do a wheelie, but then you would also likely crash because you don't have forward momentum to keep you balanced. So this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated, and it's all about timing because you need to be riding along, throttle off, clutch in, while you're still rolling and you still have enough forward momentum that you're not going to fall over. And then you take off aggressively, and as your clutch comes out, your throttle rolls on, and then that power getting down to the rear wheel quickly lifts the front up. And that's it. You shouldn't be using any more energy, doing anything else. You really let the bike do the work here. So, throttle off, clutch in, as you're sitting as far back as you comfortably can. You don't want to hear, and then drop in the clutch, because if you have great traction, you'll do a really big wheelie and probably loop it out. And if you have poor traction, you'll just throw roost out the back. And if you take off too slow, then you'll just take off. So it's a little bit of practice, and it's really finding how much traction you have and what your bike does as well. If you're on a XR150 compared to an FE250 or a big adventure bike, it's all going to be very different. So it just takes a little bit of practice. So let's see how I go. So I did some wheelies. I did them in first and second gear, and I think that's a great idea to practice in both gears because chances are you're going to come across obstacles in both gears. Also, you might have noticed that the front end dives just before I go bruh and do my clutch pop, and that's actually just me grabbing the front brakes. I'm not pushing, I'm not pulling, I'm not using any energy other than that, which isn't very much energy, and you get a big reward from that. The front end dives, and then as the suspension's traveling back up, that's when I go bruh, and the bike's already moving in that direction, so it makes it a lot easier for the front end to come up. But I didn't mention it earlier because I didn't want you to focus on it. I really want you to focus at this level 1 on getting that clutch pop bruh down pat, and then once you've got that sorted and your timing's good and you're getting wheelies more often than not, you can start to add in or layer up and grab your front brake that moment before you go bruh. So you might want to go back and watch the demos again and look for that this time. And also I started small and got big. And that's how you want to do it every time you're practicing, because the traction that you have, the terrain that you're on, how you're feeling is going to be different each day. And the least amount of times you loop it out, the more your confidence will grow and the better you will be at doing wheelies. And a little disclaimer as well, I'm actually not very good at doing a wheelie, as in getting it up there and keeping it there. I need to practice this more, but this is the starting point. So start practicing, level 1, in both gears, start small, grow, watch this video as many times as you need to, and I'll see you for level 2.